I'm surprised it came out. That's it. But
that's what's shocking.
Yeah, I'm surprised, and that's kind of what happens when you get two crypto teams that are. At least one I know is sketchy as hell, and the other one I'm not even familiar with even a little bit. But when you decide to debate the legalities of what you're doing and what they're doing, and you decide to do it in a big old open forum like Twitter, and you do it in space that is very conscientious, such as crypto, yeah, man, it's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get ugly real quick. Now, clearly, we're discussing the who's the other party in this? Iagon is one party. Who's the other party, Bell? I forget.
Nuvola Digital.
Nuvola Digital. So I am not familiar with Nuvola Digital. I have no idea what they do. I don't live in Cardano, man. I don't get around there too much, so I can't speak on them. But Iagon, they caught my interest way back when. I think it was like our first videos, and that was like in January 2024. And
Yep.
yeah, then kind of what I considered the bombshell video in October 2024. Kind of proving out everything that we were discussing. Look, man, it is nothing against them. But after using their protocol, I was like, I can't even begin to justify the kind of valuation that they have wrapped up in this thing, because you could vibe code that. I mean, you could literally vibe code all of that, and you could probably do it in a day and have something similar stood up. And what I saw was a very centralized, unencrypted storage solution that is advertising itself as decentralized. That's really all it was. And this is my wheelhouse. I mean, we built apps. We have more in the pipeline. We've been in and around this. I've worked data centers my entire life, so I like to think I can speak with authority on what it actually takes to host real data. And looking at that, I was like, well, that ain't it. Now, I did release the video. It didn't get many views. I don't know, 450. It did get some views, a little bit of discussion, mostly attacks. That's it, man. People in crypto, they don't really invest for the tech. They say they invest for the tech, but deep down, I don't think they even know or care what the tech is or what the tech does, and they certainly don't care how the tech works. What they care about is, will token go up? And that's kind of it. So anytime you mention that the tech itself may be flawed, all the investors on that take it very personally, like it's an affront to their investing savvy, and they're not going to hear it anymore. All they're going to do is, you can't attack the message, you have to attack the messenger, and I've been through this many times, so I'm not really sweating it. But it's kind of funny that it all kind of sort of came to light right now. And we'll go ahead and chew through a little. We'll go ahead and chew through this. Belle's got it pulled up, and she can talk about the points. We'll address the points, and then we'll kind of move on, because I do care about decentralized data storage. I do care about privacy. I do care about encryption. I do care about all these things. For God's sakes, I wear it on my chest. So yeah, it's definitely worth us discussing tonight, and we'll go ahead and start picking those points apart right there. Of course, if you guys have questions, comments, want to weigh in, if you're a big Iagon fan and just want to call me a piece of shit, line up, man, go for it. We don't, there's no question that we won't ask on this, and there's not an answer that I won't give you. So yeah, if you just want to hammer away at me, man, go for it. You won't be the first. You definitely won't be the last. Go ahead, Belle. Why don't you sum it up? Take it from the top, and we'll start chopping up some points here.
Oh, all right. So the two parties involved, Nuvola Digital and Iagon Official. So Nuvola is Cardano's first DePIN aggregator index. They state on their Twitter profile, they are opening the gateway to a global rewards-based economy. Now, Iagon Official, per their description on X, Iagon is an AI-driven shared storage and compute economy, bridging decentralization with compliance, revolutionized cloud services powered by IAG, the Iagon token. Okay, you say you're compliance focused. What level of compliance are you supposedly trying to meet here? That's point number one.
Sure.
Nuvola Digital did put out a post on X that starts off saying, though at times painful, truth remains the only way forward. Team Nuvola.
Yeah, I agree.
This is our formal statement of dissociation from Iagon Official due to misleading and factually incorrect statements regarding their product and service offerings. Next section, findings and proof.
Okay.
Over the course of our partnership with Iagon, we've identified critical flaws in Iagon's storage services, issues that independent third-party audit reports and Catalyst F13 milestone submissions have since confirmed, though not fully disclosed publicly by the Iagon team. According to Iagon's Catalyst 13 funding deliverables, Iagon's network design is dangerously flawed, not fully encrypted, highly centralized, and poses significant risks to both security and scalability.
Yeah, and
Then they give.
You want to crack into that, or do you want to address the point?
The next section is a list of no less than 8 links verifying the above statement.
Okay, so we'll start with the first one. The first video I did for this was back in January, way back in January, where I went up there and I tried the protocol. Now, the concern that I had way back then was that when I went to sign up for it, I had to pay in ADA. Now, I'm not a huge Cardano person, so I don't know. Maybe this is how all the apps over there work. Maybe that's it, is that they all work with ADA, and that could be. I don't know.
But yet, on their public Twitter profile, they state powered by IAG.
Okay. Well,
why are they charging ADA?
I don't know, but when I went to sign up, because you can't test drive the protocol, you have to sign up for the protocol. I don't care for the Cardano wallets, Toot. I know that's your thing. I'm not trying to insult you. They're a little clunky for me. I like very, very minimalist, so it really didn't work for me. But when I did go to sign up for their protocol, I had to pay an ADA. I had to pay their protocol in ADA, and little first thing that went on in my head is, okay, why do you have a token then? What's the point of the token if all you're doing is processing in ADA? Wouldn't it be better to simply pay your storage providers in ADA, because that's the token that you're taking in to pay your storage providers? Wouldn't that be kind of a better way? But it doesn't really matter. My second video came up in October 2024. And for what it's worth, it got a lot of views. But it was in that video right there that I showed you, literally step by step. I third screened everything. You saw exactly what I saw. Passwords being broadcast in plain text, files themselves being broadcast in plain text, and everything, every single bit of this ran through Iagon.com. And again, the video's still out there. I haven't pulled it down. I'm sure Bell could link it if you guys are really curious, but it all linked through Iagon.com. No RPCs, no third party, no anything. It all went straight to their servers. And what happened to it from there, I don't know. Could it have been distributed? Sure. Could it have been sharded? Sure. But when I went to recall a file, and I think their file size limit was, I don't remember offhand, guys, this is a year ago, but maybe let's call it 250 megs. That's it. They're capped out. You cannot upload a file bigger than that. 250 is it, thereabouts. But when I went to recall it, it came back almost instantly. And anybody who's familiar with sharding, meaning that you're familiar with Filecoin, because that's effectively what Filecoin is doing. Getting data up there is not terribly hard because you're using a Google bridge. Filecoin uses a Google bridge. It all goes through Google. So sure, it's going to be fast getting up there, but getting it back, bring a lunch. All right. It could take hours or days to pull back every single bit of that file, reassemble it, and get it back over on your system. It takes forever. But when I went and did it on Iagon, man, that thing came back almost at hot storage speed. So what it suggests to me is that that video was not sharded. It was not sent out to storage providers. It sat there on a central server, and then it came back Ricky Tick. So if you're doing what you're saying you're doing, you either cracked the code, broke the laws of physics, which maybe you did, or you're simply not doing it, sending it out and distributing it the way you say you're distributing it. Now, I'm an Occam's razor kind of guy, and the obvious answer to me tends to be the correct one, that these things never left. It sat there on a central server, and your entire protocol, that was it. You were basically a file server, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. People need file servers. We use them every day. If you have iCloud, you are using a file server. That's basically it. But if that's what you're doing, don't try to upsell yourself. Now, the plain text was a little bit alarming to me because it was both password and files. I could see everything. That means where I was sending it, that means that they could see everything. Everything. It's completely exposed. You're sending them naked data and trusting them either not to peek or trusting in their goodwill that something's happening on the backside that we simply can't see. But for that time, a simple man-in-the-middle attack on your personal system is going to expose all of your data. And if you could find the path, and I'm sure there's plenty of good hackers that see where the central point is that's feeding into their servers, little man in the middle right there, and that's it. You got everything. So it was curious to me, and I did make mention of it. Now, the very first response I got from that was somebody who posted it up to Iagon Official, and their answer was, your password is the encryption. We don't have to encrypt because your password is literally the encryption. That was the answer. Now, anybody who works in this field and at all has to be quite aware that your password is not encryption, man. All right, AES 256 is encryption. AES 128 is encryption. Encryption is encryption. Your password is not encryption. But that was their answer. And they continued on this just saying, I simply don't know what I'm talking about. So sure, I'll grant you that. Maybe I don't. But considering that I've spent the last 25, 30 years of my life building data centers and the last 5 years of my life building privacy apps, I want to say that maybe it is kind of something that I may or may not be familiar with, at least a little bit. So in this case, I believe that point to be absolutely correct. It is nothing but a centralized file server. That's it. Now, I cannot say they're closed source, and that's fine. I'm not going to bash them on that. That's intellectual property, and it should be closed source. Sigea, our app, is closed source. We're not going to expose the code. We will allow an audit to happen before we go live. We're ready for that. But we will not expose our code to anybody. If you want to do what we do, then build it yourself. So I'm not going to bust their balls on that. But from what I'm seeing from a top level, it would simply be something that I would not choose to use. And I'm going to leave it there. Anyway, go ahead, Belle. Carry on. Second point.
I'm just going to say, okay, as far as encryption goes, there's generally two different kinds. There's symmetric, which is AES, it's 3DES, and asymmetric, which is RSA, ECC, the list goes on and on.
Yep.
Usually encryption falls under one of those two. Neither one of those is password.
No.
That is not an encryption type.
No,
okay,
that was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous response. They even started screenshotting what they were saying, the shit they were talking about me on their Discord. Somebody was over there sending me all that stuff. I was loving it.
I know.
I was loving it. Yeah, keep it coming. Anyway, go ahead, Belle.
Although the audit reports themselves are heavily redacted, and the ones that they have published they still reveal extremely concerning findings that have been acknowledged by Iagon in the final audit summary. Below, we highlight a few of the 25 plus medium to critical audit findings from the shortened and redacted reports and summary. So, security and privacy, any and all files uploaded to the Iagon storage network are uploaded to a centralized server, unencrypted and unprotected, giving Iagon full unencrypted access to all user files. See section 2.1.1 of final audit summary. Then they give the centralized server IP address, the PC provider, and the location along with the owner of that location. Then they're moving on to centralization of file access. The centralized gateway index server is the only way to access the Iagon storage network. If the gateway index fails, users risk permanent data loss despite underlying decentralization via storage nodes. This creates a single point of failure for all of Iagon's clients. See 2.1.2 of final audit summary.
Yeah, now let me weigh in here for just a sec, but we'll get back to the rest. So how does this, the only reason that I'm even mentioning this one is, one, because that's kind of bad design. And if there were redundant servers up there, then I'll give you a break. Because look, man, I work in this business. This is my industry. I understand sometimes the blinking lights stop blinking. But when that occurs, the redundant servers have to kick in. All right, that's what it is. For us personally, we're not in the data storage industry. We're a data tunnel. But because of that, because we are centralized, and we've admitted this right from the get-go, in order to get your data from your device onto Jackal, We are the intermediary to make that happen. But we have 3 servers that are stood up right now just for our beta testers. And I would ask anybody who is out here beta testing, have you ever, unless we announced it, that we are changing APIs or something like that, because this is a beta and I'm sure you guys get that. But have you ever been denied access to your data? You haven't. I know, because I would have heard about it long before anybody else would have even noticed it. So the centralization part, I don't have any issue with. The big issue I have is plain text. That's the issue I have. And currently, Sigea itself, our encryption is turned off. I just went over that as we are rebuilding our path, but anybody who's tested up till now can definitely verify that, yes, the encryption is there and it is taking place. When we get the 128 integrated, encryption goes on. It'll never go off again, but this is part of the process. But the kicker, and what I'm getting at, is that we will always have redundant servers because we are using decentralized servers. And if we are using decentralized servers, we cannot count on those decentralized servers. We need to have backups and backups for those backups. And the very second, we're basically doing a self-healing server. The very second that we lose a server, we're spinning up a new one behind the other 2 that are already up and humming and waiting for you. You can never, ever be denied access to your data. We're well aware of that, and we've taken steps. It's not the case with Iagon. I've tried them different times of the day, different paths, different everything, different clumps, and it all goes to the same place, not one time, but every time. And if you're going to take a good hard look at ours, anybody's more than welcome to. You're going to see several different IPs on there. We're moving APIs, we're testing things, testing hardware, but we are also stress testing our network for failure, because we can't have that. We cannot have a single point of failure, and I'm afraid that Iagon does. Go ahead, Belle, carry on.
The next section is legal risk exposure and non-compliance. Because files are uploaded through a centralized server in unencrypted form, Iagon has full access to user data, creating major privacy and data protection risks, and therefore undermining any claims of being GDPR compliant. Then it moves on saying, okay, well, they actually list relevant GDPR violations, which are also HIPAA violations, by the way. Relevant GDPR violations based on official sources. Article 5.1f. Personal data must be processed securely, ensuring confidentiality and integrity. Scott, when you tested them, I believe everything about your account was visible.
Oh, God, yeah, everything. Password, which happens to be my encryption. I wasn't aware that a password was encryption, but they pointed it out to me on their Discord. Not to me personally, amongst themselves, and they all had a good time at my expense, and then somebody copied, pasted it, and sent it over to me. Yeah, it was as plain text as can be. I mean, there it is. I literally created a file. I called it plain text and sent it up. And oh, look, there I saw it right there in the console. Yep, that's it. That's the file. That's the that's what's inside of it. That's everything. So yeah, it ain't that hard. And no, there's nothing about that is even remotely secure. And I could go on a whole different tangent here, but I'm not gonna. I want to finish the list. So go ahead, Bill.
All right, so the next one, Article 32, mandates encryption, resilience, availability, and regular testing based on the risk level. Article 9 covers sensitive data like health, biometric, genetic, political views, etc., requiring enhanced protection. Well, if you're not encrypted, you're legally not allowed to house any kind of health information. You are technically not allowed to house personally identifiable information. That's why we are shooting for HIPAA compliance, because we're determined to keep all of that stuff safe.
Yeah, and ours, we actually came up with a very, very kind of unique solution. And for us to be able to process medical records and medical data and all that stuff, because that's kind of our end goal. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. But we did come up with a very, very unique solution to this. And it does meet HIPAA standards. That was it. That's it. Everything that we do, assume anything that we're doing out here for anybody who's using Sigea Cloud or testing Sigea Cloud right now, just assume that we are treating every single bit of data as if it was medical data. That's it. That's our standard. That's our bare bones standard for this, because everything up here, and with the way the world is turning right now and the surveillance state is just spinning up, we have to assume that anything that you send to Sigea, you intend to keep absolutely private in a convenient manner, but that you intend that to be absolutely, completely gone from the world. And that's how we've built out our network to do exactly that, including medical records. So not only is our standard exceeds HIPAA compliance standards, we're not bare minimum on anything. We are actually maximum all the way across the board for the technology that's currently available. But if something new comes out, I assure you that we're going to be integrating that one as well. Here's a difference between us and what something like Iagon and some of these other guys are doing. We're selling service, all right? And you should have certain standards that you expect of our service. We're the people that will get your data from any chain in any place in the world, and we will get it to an actual decentralized storage protocol. I have no dog in this fight whatsoever, with the exception of Sigea Cloud. So yeah, if you guys are really, really looking for that, my DMs are open. Bell's DMs are open. Bella@thepodcast.com, Scott@SigeaCloud.io, and I'd love to discuss your storage needs with you. And let's see if we can come to an accord. Anyway, do we got anything else on that, Bell?
So, in conclusion, Iagon has repeatedly marketed themselves as decentralized, secure, and compliant, but the facts show otherwise. What exists today is a centralized, insecure, non-compliant system that falls far short of what was promised to Nuvola as a partner and the broader Cardano community. So Nuvola's next steps. Nuvola will now be exploring legal remedies against Iagon for misrepresentation with respect to partnership and investment. Going forward, Nuvola will not have any association, partnership, or collaboration with Iagon or any of its products and services. We entered into a partnership on March 27th, 2024, and invested in Iagon under the belief that their network was decentralized, private, and GDPR compliant, as they repeatedly marketed it to be. The reports from independent audits conclude otherwise. Iagon's misleading statements have left us no choice but to take formal action to protect our community, partners, and investments.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious about that one, Bell. What was the price of the token? They entered in March of 2024. Yeah, so in that time that they made this investment, they've shut off about 30% of whatever they put in there. It's gone, and they ain't getting it back. So that's what they mean by legal recourse. They're going to come up there and say, we want all our money back. It didn't work out. Give us all of our money back. But again, I have a real hard time believing that any kind of protocol that would put meaningful investment into something like this, meaning not Iagon, but one of their partners, would not do the very, very basic due diligence to see if they can do what they say they do. It took me, I think that video I put out was about 11 minutes. All right, that's how long it took me to actually go up there and say, nope, they're full of shit. So if you're making any kind of real meaningful investment into this, which could be 50, 100, 200, $500,000, whatever, you would have to know before you push in that kind of money what you're actually getting to. And that would actually make me start questioning the other side of this and say, okay, what did you think? And who was doing your due diligence before you made an investment like this? Because I understand that you guys have a token as well.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, what a surprise. So, yeah, it's the whole thing just turned into a big fat mess. That's it. And somebody pissed off somebody else. You had to know what they were before you pushed your money in here. There are absolutely no babe in the woods here. None. So whatever partnership they may or may not have had completely broke down. People took it really personally. They broke it down and decided publicly to go ahead and air all of their dirty laundry. Now, is this going to affect the Iagon token price? Probably not, because Iagon is stuffed with community members now. And you guys know what I mean when I say community members. It means that you're stuck. All right, you paid way too much for the token, and it's actually rock bottom right now. So with that being the case, it doesn't matter what kind of dirty laundry gets aired out here, because they don't care. It doesn't matter to them. The only thing that matters to them is token go up. So when you see a big dip like you just saw on that announcement, just
Right after
instantly
that.
as soon as that came out, but you notice how it's already getting a recovery because community members are
Mhm.
going to see this as a chance to jump back in without even questioning the protocol, what it is, what it does, how it works. It really doesn't matter to them. So even when everything that I said is widely exposed, here it is, it's been third-party audited. These people that did the audit have no dog in this fight. It's nothing personal for them. They're just going to simply do their job.
Nuvola has actually put out a community call to action stating the community deserves truth, not deception. In order to find the truth and properly assess Iagon, we encourage the Cardano community to review the current public audit reports in F13 and request full unredacted audit reports and transparency regarding audit costs funded by Cardano. Given the seriousness of these findings, which raise concerns that run counter to the values of transparency, integrity, and trust on which Cardano was founded, we respectfully call on Cardano Foundation and Emergo.io to initiate a thorough and independent investigation.
Yeah, and none of those things are going to happen. Look, man, you guys understand the news cycle of crypto, right? Something else will come up. Everybody's turns their head the other way, and this dies. This will be a thing for today. All right, today and maybe tomorrow, but after that, it's going to completely die out. It won't matter. Both of these guys are going to see their tokens start to get hurt, and that'll kind of be the end of it. That's just the way it works. And the best thing you can do in crypto, the best thing you can say in crypto is nothing. All right, let people form their own opinions. It won't really matter if they're community members. They absolutely won't say anything because they don't want to hurt their bags. And their hope is that other people come in and buy into. You guys know how this works, so it really doesn't matter. But it's interesting. It's nice to be vindicated.
All right. So first comment coming in from Fish is gonna still be around when a lot of these fancy chains are dead.
Yeah, likely. They got a strong community. All right, people like what's going on over there. They've built up, and that's all it comes down to is community. They've built up a very, very strong one. They're passionate people. I think the last bastion of actual Web3 ethos is probably happening over on Cardano more than anywhere else. It simply is. Those people are passionate and they still believe in the ethos of decentralization. Very, very few other protocols actually out here do. And they're strong. They believe what they believe. I happen to agree with them. Anyway, go ahead, Bill. Whatever's left. I need like 5 minutes to sum up. So whatever's left, go ahead and get it out.
G Torres, Sigea would be a lot easier for the average person once it's on the app stores. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, and that's
we agree.
Yeah, and we agree. Obviously, we agree, man. Like for us to distribute the APK, it's no problem. But for some reason, humans out here simply will not trust any app that's coming to them that does not have the Google thumbs up. For the APK, for the Android version of it, you need Google to give your approval before you trust an app, which is funny to me. And Apple is the same way. Until Apple, who is the bastion of trust, gives it the approval that this is an acceptable app, people just don't trust anybody except for big tech, and that's amazing. Now, we could fight this, but it's not worth our time to fight it. What is worth our time is to do what people want, because we're a consumer application. So we want to do what consumers want. If they need Apple's thumbs up and Google's thumbs up, fine, we're going to get those thumbs up. And yes, it's a lot easier to distribute. I do want to address kind of what's going on with Jackal, because we're getting a lot of questions over on our Discord about this. Now, one, look, we have nothing to do with the protocol whatsoever. All right, we're not partners, we're not friends, we're not anything. I have nothing to do with that protocol. So if you have questions on the token price, take it over to Jackal Protocol. Here it is, bottom line. This is what is happening. Jackal is, in fact, selling their token to fund operations. This isn't coming from me. This is coming from Patrick. This is coming from the Jackal team. It is what it is. You guys understand what happens when you invest into a crypto token like this. You're giving money to the team so the team can build out their protocol. That's it. Now, Jackal is continuing to sell the token. I know they're waiting on a grant or a raise or funding or something like that for them to stop it. But until that happens, they will continue to sell the token because they have to fund operations. I understand that. So do I love it? No. but it is what it is. Now, here's the question that you have to ask yourself. You know of two big products, aside from everything else that Jackal's launched, and they have 5 different apps up there. But aside from those, here's what you have to ask yourself to decide if I'm going to get on the Jackal train or not. Will Respawn, which is Jackal's current flagship product, is Respawn. It's a neat idea. It's a very, very niche market, and there are riches in the niches. So I happen to agree with that one. And Sigea Cloud, which I like to hope you guys are familiar with by now. A lot of you guys are testing for us. Will we generate enough revenue to counter the tokens that the protocol is selling? That's it. That's your entire question right there. That is the only thing that you have to take into consideration. Will we generate more revenue for Jackal Protocol than Jackal Protocol itself is selling off? And that's it. If you believe that Respawn and Sigea Cloud will purchase and burn more tokens than the Jackal team is selling, then it's a good investment. If you don't believe that we will do one of those two things, that one of those two things will going to happen, and please keep in mind, I don't know what else Jackal has on their plate. I have no idea, man. They don't talk to me. I don't know. But as it sits right now, those are the two big things, Respawn and Sigea. If we put more consumers and more data on chain, meaning because we all have to pay for the data, Respawn has to pay for the data. Sigea has to pay for the data. We have to pay to have this stuff hosted. Will we generate more revenue than Jackal is currently selling off? That's it. Now, are they going to stop selling? I have no idea. Take it up with Jackal. Go to their Discord, their Telegram, whatever, and ask them. But that is literally it. I personally can't believe that there are any other major holders of this token in play that could cause this wicked red 2-cent candle. I don't believe that there could be anybody really left that has that much. But MintScan is also open to you, and you can take a look and see all kinds of wallets on there and see who holds what. So have a go, see what you think, and then make your own decision. But that's it. I mean, that literally is it. I like to simplify things, and I believe that that's about as simple as I can do it. Now, for me personally, I'm still buying Jackal tokens. I have to. With the yield that I'm making for my other investment, I'm still buying Jackal tokens. I need these Jackal tokens to pay for storage for my Sigea Cloud customers. If it works out the way, not saying it will, but I'm saying if it works out the way that I believe that it will work out, then I am paying right now currently pennies on the dollar for the value that I will accrue, that my company will accrue, that me and Bell's company will accrue. That every token that we buy at 3 cents, when we get a bounce on this token, we are paying pennies on the dollar for storage that we would be paying for at a 1-to-1 ratio. The Jackal protocol only functions on the Jackal token. So if for some reason Jackal was to go from 3 cents to 6 cents, I'm now paying 50 cents on the dollar for the data storage that I'm purchasing from them. If it was to go to 12 cents, I'm paying 25 cents on the dollar for what I would be paying for this Jackal storage. And if it was to go to 24 cents, obviously do the math yourself here, man. I'm paying 10 cents on the dollar for what I could be getting for this. So that's why I'm investing in it, and that's why I continue to invest in it. I believe in our protocol. I believe in Sigea Cloud, and I know what I know. So will we be able to outpace them? At launch, no. At launch, no. We will not be able to outpace them. You got to give us a little bit of time for us to get our stable together. But over time, yes, we will wildly outpace what they're spending. That's where I'm at on that. Now, personally, if I was you, I would completely sit this one out, man, because if I'm wrong, you're broke. If I'm right, you're in a good shape. If I'm wrong, you're dead broke. So I would personally sit this one out, wait, see how it works out. But it's been my experience that sitting and waiting will only ever get you so far. So use your own judgment on this. This is not financial advice, clearly. I'm just telling you what I'm doing personally, what me and Bell are doing personally, because this is what we've always done.